welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Thursday, January 17th. This U.S. congressman says U.S. media is afraid to report on China. What's the new political title for this Hong Kong movie star? And the good and bad about China's renewable energy push. U.S. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher is criticizing U.S. media for not reporting enough on certain matters in China. On Wednesday, he issued a press release about making government-funded media accountable to U.S. taxpayers. Prior to that, Congressman Rohrabacher spoke to NTD about one serious human rights abuse in China he thinks is being underreported.
U.S.-funded media, like Radio Free Asia and Voice of America, have been failing to report on major issues in China, according to U.S. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher.
We also have China and the Chinese government exerting undue influence on our media because we have huge American corporations making very quick and rapid profits from their association with this gangster regime in Beijing, and they're afraid to make the communists in Beijing mad at them.
And that has tremendous human rights implications. In an interview with NTD on Tuesday, Congressman Rohrabacher singled out China's practice of forced organ harvesting from still living prisoners of conscience.
If they weren't feeling like they could get away with it, they wouldn't be throwing religious believers in prison. They wouldn't be harvesting organs, but they think they can get away with it. And they think that even in the media in the United States won't cover the issue.
He believes there are two major reasons why media in the U.S. and around the world are not reporting more about forced organ harvesting in China. Aside from the economic pressure, the other is the lucrative organ tourism trade.
One of the reasons is there is a profit-making sale involved in this. There are a lot of Westerners involved in getting organs from Chinese donors who are really nothing more than political prisoners, and some of them are religious prisoners. And that, number one, makes our media, oh, well, we don't want to cover that, where Americans are involved in it.
Rohrabacher hosted a U.S. congressional hearing last September on the issue of organ harvesting. He also signed a letter to the U.S. State Department demanding the U.S. release any information it may have on the issue. NTD has obtained information from the offices of several Congress members stating that the U.S. State Department has not responded.
What are the requirements for someone to become a member of a top political advisory body to the Communist Party? One thing that helps is being wealthy or famous. Just ask Hong Kong film star Stephen Chow.
Hong Kong movie star Stephen Chow is better known for his action comedies like Kung Fu Hustle. Now he's also a member of one of China's top political advisory bodies. On January 14th, Guangdong's Provincial Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference released the names of its new members. Stephen Chow is amongst them. He has also joined the unofficial group of celebrity members of the Guangdong CPPCC. The group includes other Hong Kong celebrities. The mix of star power and politics is generating discussion. Many have reacted with disbelief or suspicion about the propaganda motives behind the move.
The fifth generation of Communist Party leaders are working on getting Hong Kong and Macau in line with the party, and some well-known individuals in Hong Kong or overseas may have some deluded optimism that the Communist Party could carry out reform.
Guangdong province borders Hong Kong. The city has been raising anger against what many see as an attempt by leaders in Beijing to influence how Hong Kong is ruled. According to the Guangdong News Express Daily, a provincial CPPCC staff member said Chow's membership could be the work of the United Work Front. That's the Communist Party organ tasked with soliciting support from with non-party groups. Another staff member commented, Chow's inclusion will help Guangdong CPPCC get more media exposure.
Some provincial CPPCC members are publicized to make the province look good. There should be a basic requirement for someone to be included, not just their status as a celebrity or a star. Do they have the ability or desire to enter politics?
Stephen Chow joining the CPPCC has also caught interest because many of his roles directly or indirectly ridicule the Communist Party. For example, in the 1991 movie Tricky Brains, Chow's character ironically praises the Tiananmen Square massacre after eating a bun that makes you lie.
Much of eastern and central China have been choking in heavily polluted air since this weekend, so it may be a surprise to some that China is the world's largest investor in green energy. Next, our correspondent from Canada looks at the good and bad of China's role in the global renewable energy sector.
This week, China promised to join the International Renewable Energy Agency in efforts to switch the world to wind, solar, and hydropower, but some have questioned how helpful Chinese investment in renewable energy technology will actually be. Over the weekend, the air in Beijing and 30 other Chinese cities turned toxic. Off-the-chart readings of tiny pollutants that can penetrate the lungs has had hospitals reporting a surge in patients with respiratory diseases.
That's because of their heavy reliance on coal. I think there's been a huge push for economic development based on coal because it's cheap, but we're now seeing the hidden costs of that. The cost to human health, the cost to the environment.
China is the world's biggest coal producer and consumer, using on average 3.6 billion tons of coal per year. But it's also the world's biggest investor in renewable energy. According to this report on green energy technology investment, China came in top for 2011. It put in $52 billion in renewable power, placing U.S. in second place.
It has been driving down the cost of renewable energy, which is going to make them sort of more accessible. So Chinese investments in solar power, however, for instance, have probably driven down the cost by helped drive the cost down by about 40% in the last 3 years, and they're projected to drop another 40% in the next 3 years.
But economic expert Dr. Frank Chen-xie says there could be a catch. He believes the Chinese regime may be more concerned about profit than the environment.
Even though they're making so-called green energy products, such as solar panels, they're really not, helping with the environment, but actually continue to damage the environment. That's why Chinese product can sell, including solar panels, to U.S. market, the European market, at a price so low that actually drives all the Western competitors out of business.
According to its latest 5-year development plan, the Chinese Communist Party wants to harness 75 gigawatts of energy from new wind and solar farms by 2015. This could replace about 37 coal-powered plants. It's still too early to tell if that goal will be met. As for this toxic air, Beijing has ordered people to stay indoors and be patient during what the regime is calling a long-term cleanup. NTD News, Toronto.
And coming up after the break, why China's rich and wealthy are shying away from the Moutai liquor. US fast food giants blasted by Chinese media over chicken, and a truck accident these kittens are thankful for. And welcome back. China's top baijiu liquor brand Moutai has fallen from grace as a favored gift among millionaires, according to the recent Chinese luxury consumer survey. More than 550 Chinese millionaires with a personal wealth of more than $1.6 million were surveyed. The results showed that the sale of Moutai dropped from number 5 in last year's survey to 13th this year. In December, Moutai's market value lost over $2 billion after a ban on serving alcohol at official banquets, according to State-run Xinhua News Agency. In November, reports came out that many baijiu brands were contaminated with excess levels of plasticizers, which is enough to dampen anyone's spirits. Luxury brand watches have also dropped from the top 10 list of favorite gifts after public scrutiny over several Chinese officials caught with expensive timepieces that should have been out of their pay grade. There were several high-profile investments by Chinese firms overseas in the past year, and the outpouring of cash has made 2012 a record year for non-financial foreign direct investment.
China saw a drop in foreign direct investments into the country in 2012, according to data released on Wednesday. That's the first time a fall has been recorded since 2009. At the same time, though, China's outward investments have increased in the past 12 months. Its non-financial foreign direct investment abroad hit a record $77.2 billion in 2012. Chinese commerce officials have indicated the amount will only increase from here. A lot of the investment has been in foreign technology and the resource sectors. But Chinese companies, and in particular state-owned ones, have met resistance.
Also, China tries hard to buy some Western technology, high-tech, and especially dual-use technologies that could be used for Chinese militaries. They're not very successful in that. So, but they are trying nonetheless because they do have that money.
The huge amount of money leaving China may not all be strictly for business. Professor Frank Tianxie says that's because money tied up with state-owned companies are actually controlled by senior officials, many of whom are relocating their assets out of China.
I believe the elite itself know they're in a crisis. They're in a crisis of survival, and they are moving money out of China, and a huge sum of money are fleeing China right now.
According to online news service China Briefing, Chinese leaders have been encouraging smaller private businesses to expand overseas. But these need to go through more regulatory hoops, with some needing approval at the central government level.
Bad news seem to be sticking to foreign fast food companies and suppliers in China. Chinese media are digging into a new report about sick chickens, and it looks like this food scare will be anything but finger-licking good.
Even as the initial charges of using tainted chicken have been cleared, Chinese media are continuing a publicity war against US-based Yum Brands Inc. and McDonald's Corp. State-run Shanghai Daily newspaper today cited a report from the central government that suppliers to McDonald's and Yum's KFC were selling sick chickens to their Chinese outlets. Local authorities in central Henan province have since refuted the claim, but that hasn't done anything to diminish public anger.
I'm really shocked. I can't believe this could happen to a well-known brand. But now that the media is reporting on it, I'm losing my confidence. I never thought that could happen with these brands. Plus, it's not just one or two brands that I worry about. I think it's the whole industry, all fast food.
Yum Brands issued an official apology to their customers, but it was slammed by Xinhua News Agency. Xinhua put out a searing editorial on Saturday, calling the apology insincere and demanding they adhere to international standards. Some feel the targeting of foreign fast food companies is legitimate.
I don't think it's unfair that they're specifically targeting foreign brands, because these foreign brands, and KFC in particular, have positioned themselves as extremely healthful, as extremely high quality. And therefore, if there are scandals, it is only fair that they be hit the hardest.
In December, state-run CCTV reported that some chickens supplied to KFC and McDonald's were found to have excessive hormones and antiviral drugs. Although Chinese media have criticized domestic firms, analysts say multinationals serve as high-profile targets for lambasting.
Cat meat has become quite popular in Chinese restaurants, more in the southwest regions like Guangdong. 1,000 cats were heading to Guangdong in a truck to be sold as meat to restaurants, but something saved their lives. Find out what.
1,000 cats were fortunate enough to be rescued by volunteers on their way to Guangdong province earlier this week, where they were to be killed and sold to restaurants as meat. The truck carrying the cats met with an accident in Changsha City, and the driver was taken to the hospital. The cats were left alone, cramped in locked cages for nearly 24 hours without food and water until help arrived. Local volunteers rushed to help the starving cats the next morning after police and others called for help on the microblog site Sina Weibo to rescue the animals. Volunteers took care of the cats and provided them with food, water, and milk. They were later transferred to Changsha's Small Animal Protection Association for further care. Volunteers also took some cats home and adopted them. Animal rights activists have long protested the practice of selling cat meat to restaurants. However, the practice continues as there are no rules prohibiting the practice. Cats are sold for $1 to $2 each, and it is estimated nearly 4 million cats are consumed in China as meat every year.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more on China-related topics, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTD on China. Coming up next is China Focus with Shelley Zhang. Stay tuned.